Bro, I just woke up to something crazy. I want to see what this is about immediately. Didn't really. Let's just go ahead and see where this video takes us, guys, immediately. Name of the video here is Trump announces capture of Venezuela's Maduro. What? Guys, hold the phone here. Let's encounter this.
And we start with Lucas Tomlinson live in West Palm Beach, where the commander-in-chief has been spending the holidays. And Lucas, you've had great coverage overnight here. What else are we learning about this operation?
Good morning, Griffin. A daring operation in the pre-dawn hours and 2 a.m. local in Caracas, 1 a.m. East Coast time. U.S. Special Operations Forces flew in from off the coast of Venezuela to snatch Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro and his wife. President Trump announcing the news on Truth Social a short time ago. I'll read it for our viewers. It says, quote, "The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolás Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today at 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump." And just before the assault force arrived at Maduro's compound, you can imagine the intelligence that U.S. intelligence agency had to have to know where to send the assault force to be able to locate and grab Maduro as well as his wife. You had numerous
He had
airstrikes throughout Caracas,
connections
targeting Maduro's forces at a military base in Caracas as well as an air base, also Venezuela's largest port. And this is something President Trump has been threatening for months. It started with the drone strikes on the alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, over 24 to date, killing over 100 people. You saw it when U.S. forces seized, as a law enforcement matter, the oil tankers that the Trump administration said were associated with the Maduro regime. The goal is to cut off the drug and oil revenue stream for Nicolás Maduro. And for months, we've heard President Trump say that Maduro must go, and Maduro was very defiant. Despite repeated threats from President Trump, over 15 times, President Trump said he will be striking on land. Recall on Monday, we heard the president confirming that the
multiple
CIA
times.
struck a target along the coast of Venezuela, destroying some of Maduro's drug boats. And again, this has been something that is not quite unprecedented. We saw in 1989 with the seizure of Manuel Noriega from Panama. This is something that the president wanted. We had not heard from President Trump, almost shades of Operation Midnight Hammer when those B-2s struck Iran. We haven't seen President Trump over the past 2 days. We heard from him on New Year's Eve. It was interesting. A reporter asked the president what his goal was for this coming year. He replied, peace. Well, for the President Nicolás Maduro, he didn't get that. Now, we did hear from Maduro yesterday, guys. He sounded like he was almost pleading in an interview done from a car, believe it or not, saying he was almost begging the Trump administration for a deal with oil. Of course, many American oil firms were kicked out of Venezuela decades ago. We've heard from President Trump in recent days saying he wants that
could be
the company's in.
Well, very interesting reason here. Like, guys, hold on here. All right, so this is going to be absolutely intriguing, I think, on the world stage here. I don't know how we were able to do this specifically. I mean, I get it. We're the United States of America. We can kind of reach you wherever you are, kind of no matter where you are here, right? But if there was some type of like video recording, for the most part, dedicated to the United States of America, begging for these type of things to happen, you know who could have been the overall patsy here? It could have been Maduro saying, "Hey, listen, guys, we got in direct contact with you here. Let's go ahead and make it seem like all these things are happening, and we're going to make this happen." Because I'm trying to understand exactly how this doesn't kind of like by default kind of violate sovereignty. International law is going to be very tricky with this one here, guys. So, how did Trump know exactly where Maduro was? Maybe there was a secret communication or something. Guys, I'm trying to kind of put this together in my head here. All right, I'm still trying to grasp this fully here. This is the first piece of it that I see here. I'm giving you guys my first initial kind of thoughts and opinions on it, and obviously, as the story progresses, we will give you a lot more kind of on it, right? But just understand this here. This is going to be very tricky internationally unless Maduro comes out and basically says, "Hey, listen, bro, I told him exactly where I was." Right? Right? Like Trump took the deal and came and picked us up, that type of thing here. But the problem here is that Venezuela is going to now fall, right? It's going to fall in a way that is not really like conducive specifically for the region, at least. Like it kind of feels like if we had issues before with people flocking the southern border, it may actually get worse temporarily. They're not going to get in because Trump basically has it locked down, right? He has it locked down completely. So, we're good there. But like I think politically in the region is going to be absolutely spicy here. And I'm making reference specifically to Noriega in 1989. That's another tricky one here because again, we can kind of see the repercussions of that act in 1989. We've seen it. Like Maduro is basically kind of existing or existed at least within that vacuum, right? So things are definitely going to get very interesting, I would say, over the next couple of days, weeks at least here. But we are starting to realize, bro, Trump is not playing, even though he is legitimately out here saying some of the craziest things that a man can say in leadership, right? Occasionally, he is in fact not joking with you guys, bro. He's not. Look at Iran. No, we're gonna go ahead and give it 7 days, and then what happened? He had immediately struck them, like it was just like, yeah. He's like a don't look over here type of person, if that makes any sense here, guys, right? He's saying something, and then in the background, in fact, something absolutely wild is probably going on there, guys. So it's intriguing. America definitely is taking a much more active role in the world police section, I would say, with this type of activity. But I think his base by default is going to kind of back it because, again, the law and order type of scenario. I do like the idea of fixing criminals, right? But I do understand um, this is a massive threat, let's say, in terms of like alienating the United States of America from kind of its allies potentially if they do not all just immediately capitulate and say, yes, I agree, this is a great thing. But again, if you do openly, fully, immediately agree, then it can happen to you, right? So we're going to see where this story takes us, guys. This is definitely the most interesting thing I've seen kind of within my lifetime, even though apparently I was alive in 1989, but I was like 2, so I don't know if that counts. But just understand this here, all right? If you are an adversary of the United States of America hiding in some random cave in the middle of the desert, bro, we're going to find you. That's the vibe here. Okay, that's the type of energy that this exudes, right? This is like a super patriotic American day today here. But obviously, his opposition also on the other hand are going to be absolutely stressed out by this here. All right, because again, it's very tricky in terms of international law, and I mean that deeply. It's very tricky here, guys, because generally you can't just run into a country and take a leader, guys, right? Generally, that's not a thing you can actually do here, unless, and I mean unless, after that video to call whatever the video that Maduro made and put onto the internet, there was like direct communication where Maduro was like, "I'm right here," but the problem is by doing that weakness by basically saying, "Just come and get me," type of thing, right? Which I highly doubt because I see explosions on the screen here, right? But um, by doing the weakness, it basically dictates that your country is going to absolutely go into massive turmoil, right? But either way, we'll see where this takes us, guys.
Pretty clear, Lucas, that the clock had run out for Nicolás Maduro to come to the table despite that interview that he did. Lucas, we're just getting a tweet this morning from Senator Mike Lee, who is saying just got off the phone with Secretary Rubio. He informed me that Nicolás Maduro has been arrested by U.S. personnel to stand trial on criminal charges in the United States, and that the kinetic action we saw tonight was deployed to protect and defend those executing the arrest warrant. This action likely falls within the president's inherent authority under Article 2 of the Constitution to protect U.S. personnel from an actual or imminent attack. It's interesting as we read that, Lucas, the vice president, Delcy Rodriguez of Venezuela, took earlier to state TV in Venezuela demanding proof of life of Maduro, but it's pretty apparent that it's unclear who is running that country right now. You're looking live
the general.
at some of the strikes that were carried out there. Do we have any more indication about who is running the country there now, and whether or not any of the other individuals like the vice president and others associated with Maduro's regime may be targets still?
What's notable, that statement from Venezuela's vice president confirming the news from President Trump that President Nicolás Maduro and his wife were seized by that American assault force, likely either the Delta Force or SEAL Team 6, flown by the 160th Special Operation Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers, the most elite pilots in the world. It's notable. We saw the video of
we
the
know
US
that it was
Army
them.
helicopters flying low over Venezuela under the cover of those airstrikes in darkness, that you didn't see any Venezuelan surface-to-air missiles or AAA anti-aircraft fire. And it's notable, Griff, that I spoke to Elliot Abrams, President Trump's former special envoy to Venezuela recently. He said this was a showdown between President Trump and Nicolás Maduro, and there could only be one winner.
That was not a showdown.
That is why
guys.
President Trump likely did
wasn't
not back
that.
down. You had this large military buildup in the Caribbean. You have about a dozen warships offshore. You have the USS Gerald R. Ford strike group that was rerouted from Europe, came to the Caribbean. You had the USS Iwo Jima amphibious assault ship. You have dozens of helicopters aboard there, of course, dozens of strike aircraft aboard Ford. You also had squadrons of F-35 stealth fighter jets from the Air Force that arrived in Puerto Rico in recent days, from the Air Force, including the Green Mountain Boys from Vermont. You also had the Marine Corps F-35 Bravo version also on the ground in Puerto Rico. She had this large armada and firepower assembled. You had KC-135 refueling planes in the Dominican Republic. President Trump offered no indication that he was backing down from his threat. And President Trump, when he makes these threats, typically follows through. And that's what we saw in the pre-dawn hours this morning.
Absolutely,
and again, there could only be one winner in
and
this
it's always
showdown.
A surprise.
And it was not Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, it appears.
So, Lucas, real quick, we understand that that this operation was successful and is over. But do you have the sense that it is, in fact, over with and the firefight is finished? And then where do we go from here?
Well, Charlie, the U.S. military likes to operate at night. The pilots would have night vision goggles. The assault force would have had night vision goggles. That is their perfect time to launch these kind of operations, is under the cover of darkness. Not because most people are asleep. Likely Maduro and his wife were probably asleep when they blew up the.
Bro, they were sitting at the table. They were sitting at the table. I don't know. Listen, they were sitting at the table, like, okay, bro, they're gonna be here in about 15 minutes. Go ahead and get your dress. Go ahead and get your sandals.
Store and grabbed them. So we've heard from Senator Lee also in that thread you just read. He says he was informed by the Secretary of State that the operation is over. It appears the goal was not just to strike the Maduro regime, and that could have almost been a distraction from the main objective, which was to snatch the Venezuelan president and his wife so they could face charges back in the United States.
Lucas, back in October, President Trump sent a clear message to Maduro saying this.
Mr. President, it has been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want around with the United States.
Bro, I think at the end he offered himself. I'm telling you, like, I'm just trying to think of how this could, like, how are we going to spin this here, guys? All right, like how? Because foreign heads of state are generally super sovereign, bro. Right? Like, I understand that one country may be. Hold on, guys. Are we almost done? Let's talk at the end.
Yeah, the president didn't mince words, Lucas. You know, this is obviously a signature moment for President Trump and his administration, another precise, swift, and seemingly effective military operation. What do you think we can expect to see from the international community in response?
Okay, good. Let's go. Let's hear your opinion.
Well, allies of the United States are going to be on the side of the United States, and America's adversaries are going to come down pretty strong on this.
Russia, China, sanctions.
Statement from Senator Lee talking about Article 2 and the president's authority to carry out this operation, likely probably getting a jump on some of the criticism that the president might be facing with Democrats on Capitol Hill. So perhaps a little cover there from Senator Lee. So adversaries of the United States and, of course, Maduro's allies, Russia, China, and Iran, are going to come down very strongly on this operation.
Moscow is going to go wild.
Let's not forget that in early December, War Secretary Pete Hegseth outlined America's new national security strategy, Part of it was bringing back what he called the Monroe Doctrine, taking control of the Western Hemisphere. There are officials in the Trump administration, including Secretary Rubio, that want to decrease the influence of China, Russia, and Iran. Of course, we've seen Hezbollah operatives set up shop in Venezuela in the past. This was all the reason that President Trump wanted a change in Venezuela.
I'm Steve Doocy.
Okay,
I'm Brian
okay.
Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
Okay, wait a second here. The Monroe Doctrine is tricky also. Guys, listen, everything is just, let's just call it politics, okay? Because it's just politics, bro. This is super tricky, all right? The Monroe Doctrine would make sense if we were actually taking control of the Western Hemisphere, right? But we're not really taking control of the Western Hemisphere. We're just insulating ourselves kind of within our super safe borders, if that makes any sense here. Because if you wanted to take control of the Western Hemisphere, then there'd technically be everyone would be everyone, if that makes any sense here. Because that conversation always kind of missed me, because it was just like, bro, it works for us, which is good, right? Because we're insular for the most part, at least nowadays, right? But it puts us at threat of being the shiny, like the lighthouse in the middle of darkness, right? Where everyone is going to run towards, right? So if you're going to take control of it, clean it all up, right? Obviously, and make everything make sense for the most part, everyone, if that was the case here, in terms of like referencing at least the Monroe Doctrine in this context here. Article 2 is also super spicy. And okay, I just want you to know this here. Because right. That's okay. So that's the American legal justification for doing this. The UN is not going to back this, guys. Right? They're not going to back this at all. Many European countries are going to back it because of just like the allyship of things here, but the actual countries themselves, outside of whatever, bro, government building, basically for the most part, they're going to hate it, like almost by default here. A good amount of them. Don't get me wrong here. There are always outliers, and generally the outliers are the loudest. But if you actually speak to the people, generally things are pretty drastically different here, right? So that's a concern, all right? That's a concern, okay? Seriously, a serious concern that we're about to be faced with here. But I'm gonna 100% follow the story here completely. And if there's more information that comes out, which there probably will be kind of over the next couple of hours, we'll definitely jump into these like as soon as they are released, guys, right? But I want to go ahead and point out Article 2, all right? Article 2 is interesting to me in the context of this because look at the provocation, right? So would Article 2 specifically have made sense if we were not right there? I wonder. Right. Like, I mean, I'm always I'm a cynic, guys. I'm a skeptic of every single thing that everyone does. Right. I need to kind of understand the motives behind things. But obviously the motives were kind of what I've been stating the entire time you guys have sent me any videos kind of regarding this. We are there. All right. We knew that Venezuela has to threaten us. Right. The only way he was going to basically get into this place and make it so it's moderately legal on our end, but not internationally still, but our end, is to basically put forces, park them basically in international waters and wait for them to do something, right? And I'm guessing purely if they're sitting there from Caracas, right, threatening us from afar, that could, I guess, be by default, utilized to create some type of action under Article 2 because now they are in fact threatening our service members. But the thing is, guys, if we weren't there, that wouldn't have happened. For example, let's break down Article 2 some more. I just spit all over my keyboard. Let's break down Article 2 some more. Imagine if I don't like you. So what I do, all right, I'm gonna park outside your house, right on public property where you can't move me, but I'm parked permanently on public property. Listen, and your state just so happens to not have any type of, I don't know, loitering laws or whatever nonsense policy that they try to add in to kind of skirt the U.S. Constitution, right? But either way, let's say I stand outside on public property, in front of your house. I'm out here with cameras, right? This is a sidewalk. This is a public easement. I can stand here all night long. You can't move me. Public property, right? And I just wait for you to legitimately do something. Let's call public property international waters in the context of this statement here. All right. You're sitting in your house. You know I don't like you. All right. Listen, then I'm gonna call my friends and we're all gonna stand outside on public property. You can't move me, and I have cameras, I'm photographing your house, right? Right. You just so happen to not have anything covering your window, and my eyes can't trespass. So I'm gonna go ahead and take photos of the inside of your house to piss you off for no reason. All right. I'm doing every single thing in my power to basically make you do something so I can say you've done something to me. All right. That's basically what just happened here. All right. Just understand that's basically what just happened here. But all right, listen, it is what it is. That's how you play the long game. Right. I mean, we knew, like, I think when Trump's first election, he pointed out people that pay like gigantic quantities of taxes are idiots because they just don't know how to not pay the taxes. Right. That's kind of one of these things here again, guys. Just like, listen, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Listen, I know the game, right? I know the entire background on how to make things happen, right? I know how to move the needle in the context of this here, right? So if we can't do it the 100%, well, it's legal in our eyes, right? But if we can't get things done, then hey, listen, we're going to go ahead and get things done. But either way, we're here for that, guys. If there is any more to the story, we're going to go ahead and jump into this immediately because this is absolutely wild. Right, like, geopolitically, this is going to be crazy. Right, like this is kind of some of the stories that you wait for, if that makes any sense, so you can kind of get as much like brand new insight into how world leaders move. This is one of these instances here, right? I definitely hope that there's not much of a loss of life because again, I don't think people should be losing their existences for like literally head of state type chess moves, right? You get what I mean here? But again, we'll follow the story. We'll see where this goes. In the meantime, listen, if you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. In the meantime, I'll catch you guys later. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to like promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies, and I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings, and we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry. Right? Listen, like and subscribe.